in Amsterdam in the last 24 hours. And where my kids live in Teaneck, demonstrations through the streets last night. Yeah, no, in Teaneck, New Jersey. Amsterdam, I gave you the press box. But they're getting paid to do this, to run through the streets there. They were having a.
Who went to demonstration? The Arabs?
Yeah. There was a whole big, they got the video, they were having a Nefesh real estate thing in somebody's house. They got hold of it. They brought their pepper down. And imputing a couple of fake material cartoons, they're probably actors or something. The cops are there, they didn't have a permit. They had to close the streets. The people are saying to Tehillim in the street, they must have had 1,000 people, and they are blasting their horns and the things and screaming.
It's a pogrom in Amsterdam.
You saw what, yeah, I heard
What happened?
in Amsterdam. They even from the soccer game
Yeah.
against the.
Okay.
The recording.
Okay, can you hear me?
I have to keep it off as soon as it's ready.
Okay.
Arabs, bookends of everybody.
Okay, tov everyone. Good morning, a good Erev Shabbat. There are certain psukim in the Torah. There are verses in the Torah that are very difficult to accept on face value, on literal interpretation. Therefore, Rashi says in a few places, Eina kosuv hazeh omer elo dirshuni. The pasuk comes to say, take the drash, the understanding of it that lies behind it, as the lesson of what we are interested in doing. If that's true, as Rashi says, even regarding verses in the Torah, that certainly is true regarding the words of the Midrash. Now, there are a number of Midrashim to the Torah. It's the works of the later rabbis, the time of the Talmud, the Mishnah and the Talmud. So there's Medrash Rabbah, the great Medrash. There's Medrash Tanchuma, the says that the Midrash are innumerable. So we have Medrash Shochar Tov. We have all sorts of Midrash. Nevertheless, the words of the Medrash fall into the category that verse in the Torah. So the Medrash says, Dirshuni. Look behind the words and see what is the message. What is the Medrash trying to teach us? So in this week's Parsha, the Medrash many times quotes a Gemara, which also is difficult for us to deal with. There's an especially difficult idea that's represented in the Gemara and in Midrash. Parsha. Lech lecha mebeis avicha el haaretz asher areka. Avram Avinu is told his family the greater challenge. Which of the lech lechas is the major challenge to Avram Avinu and to his stability and future? Now, if we look at that literally, it's very hard for us to digest that. It's difficult to leave one's home and birthplace, one's family. But what's the comparison to, God forbid, killing one's own child? How can you put them on even scales? There's obviously no comparison in difficulty. There's no way for us to deal with this until the Gemara has to bring a proof from a pasuk that the Akedah was worse than the first lech lecha, was a greater challenge. So all of the Mefarshim naturally are troubled by this because it's illogical. The Torah is not illogical, and neither were Chazal. We had a great respect for the human mind, for the process of thinking. So to say something so illogical that the lech lecha from the land that he was born is equal to the lech lecha of sacrificing a child, that's illogical. All of human sensitivity rebels against that. So what is meant here? What's the dirshuni? What's the ability to derive a deeper message that the Torah wishes to convey? So there are innumerable explanations to this dilemma. But there's one that I want to discuss with you that I think has particular relevance to us and to our generations. The first lech lecha, this week's parsha, go away from your home, from your father's house, means that you have no past. The past is erased. You're departing from everything that occurred to you. there's a allusion to that in the Torah itself, because the Torah does not explicitly describe for us the incident when Avraham Avinu was cast into the furnace by Nimrod. The Torah ignores it. There's no past. Avraham just arises. There was a man, Terach, and he had sons, and one of the sons was Avram, and he married a woman named Sarai. Where did they come from? Who are they? And then the Torah is going to devote a great deal of detail to their lives and going to make them the father and mother of the Jewish people. But they have no past. So the first lech lecha refers to the fact that there are people who have no past. And that's a challenge. That's a great challenge. We have to say regarding a sizable percentage of the Jewish world is that it has no past. They don't know. They don't know what happened to us. They don't even know their family's roots. Past is non-existent. But that's an enormous challenge. It's very hard to speak to Jews that have no past, that don't know anything about the past. So you can't expect them somehow to behave rationally or in an intelligent way regarding the present, because the present is always shaped by the past. And there is no past. I remember throughout my rabbinic career, I met many, many Jews. And a large percentage of them didn't even know who their grandfather was. There's no connection. And that explains much of what goes on today. If you have no past, it's very easy to mistake the present, to believe in ideals that are self-destructive. So the first lech lecha is no past. You have left their father's house. You left what was, doesn't exist anymore. The second lech lecha of the sacrifice of Yitzchak is that there's no future. There's a past, but there's no future. Because Yitzchak Yikor Lecha Zora, Yitzchak was our future. Yitzchak was to be the heir of Avraham Avinu. And now Yitzchak is going to be killed. And he's not married and he has no progeny. So there's no future. So that's another type of challenge in the Jewish world. There are those that recognize that we have a past, but they don't see a future. Because the future is not, so to speak, exactly the way they want it to be. They don't see any future. So they are also unable to deal with the present. The only way to deal with the present is in terms of what it will bring in the future. So people are willing to sacrifice in the present because somehow there'll be a reward in the future. All right, if I can't make it, but my grandchild will make it. People are willing to do that all the time. And if there's no future, so then the present is also meaningless. It really has no relevance to us. Because what's going to be? It has no future. So therefore, the rabbis posed the question: which is the greater challenge? Which is the one that, so to speak, is the bellwether of Jewish existence? Knowledge of the past or belief in the future? Now, we will always answer that somehow the combination of both is really what we want. But if we are faced, as we are, with lech, lecha, there's no both, there's a choice. So the rabbis voted for the future. Even if the person has no past, but if he believes that there's a future, so then we can work with it. It will somehow survive. And that has always been the issue in Jewish life. Moshe Rabbeinu said to know the past. The prophet said to know the future. We see that Avraham Avinu himself describes his own being, so to speak, in these terms. Avram will say to the Ribono Shel Olam Kaviyachol, V'anochi Ofor v'Efer. I am but dust and ashes. Again, there's the Talmud says Anochi Ofor v'Efer refers to two mitzvahs. There are all sorts of interpretations so that we are not forced to accept literally the phrase. But one of the interpretations in line with what you have just said, Ophir is dirt, dust, the earth. That's the future. You can take dirt and do something with it. You can fertilize it, plant it. In the ancient world, they made bricks out of it. It was the building material. Even today, we have an entire industry, landscaping. So we take a barren piece of ground and we turn it into something that is pleasing and beautiful to us. So offer is again no past. Before it was nothing, so I don't have to take that into consideration. But since it is offer, since it is a building material, it's something that can be used to create great things. So even if I don't have a past, I can still use it. But I don't have a future. That's Afer. Ashes, once it's burned to ashes, there's nothing you can do with it. The future doesn't exist. There was a past. The great forest fires. So it's all gone. So it may regenerate in a century, but no, at that time, no one sees any future from it. So because of the two lechas, Avram Avinu says, Anochi Ofer V'Efer. I have no past because you have ejected me from my homeland and my society and everything that I knew. And I have no future because you said that my child will not exist. So that was his description of Anochi Ofer V'Efer, dust and ashes. Dust is no past, and ashes is no future. Ma titenli. What can you give me, God? So Avram Avinu has longevity. He apparently has very good health. We don't read anywhere that Avram Avinu suffered any illnesses. He has prestige. Nesi Elokim Atov B'Sochenu. You're the Prince of God. He has everything. And he says to God, Ma titenli, what are you going to give me? I have nothing. To Lavan, Mocharovo al Schori. Tomorrow I will have a reward. Today I don't have anything. Today I'm a servant for you. In 20 years in servitude, I allow you to cheat me every day of the week. The world is allowed to persecute me. But Mochar, tomorrow, I have a future. And that's why Chazal said that the challenge of the future is greater than the challenge of the past. People apparently can exist without a past. Uh, You ask the average fourth and fifth generation Jew in the exile, they'll tell you, my great-grandfather was a rabbi. Everybody was a rabbi. But they have no connection. They have no past. Nevertheless, you can do something with him. And you can learn about the past, because that happened already. So there are facts, there are records. There's a way to make the past come alive again. The future, there's no thing. The future is pure belief, pure faith. Tomorrow I will have my reward. Who knows what tomorrow brings? The famous mashal of the Dubner Maggid, but of others as well, that a man was shipwrecked and he ended up on an island in the middle of the Pacific. And on that island, there were natives, and he became part of the native society. And in that island, the currency that the natives used for trade, for the economy, was fish. So he gathered for himself all sorts of pounds and tons of fish. He was the wealthiest man on the island. And one day a boat came by and he got on the boat with his fish and he came back to Northern Europe. In Northern Europe, fish was not a currency. So he went from being a very wealthy man to being a pauper. So the Dubner Maggid pointed out that that's the problem here. What does the future hold for us? We think that we're going to be wealthy because we have fish. It may turn out that fish is of no value. And that's true in every facet of life, because the future is always hidden from us. I have often used as the example that when Theodor Herzl died, so the Zionist movement wanted to provide a trust fund for his family because they had no money, and they raised money and they invested all the money in the bonds of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, which was worthless very shortly. Because the future is inscrutable. That's why it's the greater challenge. But every Jew is faced with these two challenges of somehow relating to the past and believing in a future. And that's what Avraham Avinu came to teach us. And that is an important lesson, because that allows us to deal with the present. It puts the present into some sort of perspective. we see it more clearly. We're not blindsided by events. And the Torah wants us to be able to deal with the two lechos, which form the bookends of our lives. So have a great Shabbat, everyone, and thank you. Saturday night, our lecture series begins. If you have not made reservations, you can see Mark Zohar, or you can just show up and we'll use the extortion.